Hi guys, welcome back to Briar Society. Today we have a Cricut tutorial for you showing you how to make this Valentine's inspired cup. So we're teaching you how to use Cricut Design Space to create this design and how to cut and apply it to your cup of choice. You can find all the timestamps for those things in the description box below, so check those out. If you like the video, please give it a like and hit subscribe if you'd like to see more content like this. And here's what you'll need. So the first thing you're going to want to do is open a blank canvas, and you can do that by coming up here to the top left hand corner where it says New. That will provide you with a completely blank sheet. So as you can see here, I've already prepped my design. I'm going to show you now how to make this. So you can either start off by downloading and inserting a sort of coffee shaped cup or mug, whatever object you're using to transfer your vinyl onto, to give you a bit of a guideline as to the shape and sizing that you're going to create your design. It's just a helpful guide. You're not actually going to end up cutting that on your mat at the end. To do that, you will just come over here to the left hand pane again and hit upload and select your design. It will just then drop it in here. A second option is to create a shape such as this rectangle that's of a similar length and dimensions to what you're going to transfer onto, so your mugs. So just again to get that idea of spacing and sizing to create this, it's just a little bit hard to tell just on sight alone. Again, you're not going to end up cutting this. If you want to just insert a shape, over this left-hand side, you hit Shapes, select whatever. I chose a square, there isn't a rectangle. To create a rectangle, you can come up here to the top where it says Size. Tap this padlock in the middle here. That allows you to change the ratios so it won't hold the square shape. So you can type in whatever, 3 by 6, for example, and as you can see, it's changed those dimensions. You can just lock that back up afterwards. So you're not going to cut this at the end, but just to make it easier to work from, I changed the colour of mine. So I came up here to the top where you can see this coloured square, and I just changed mine to white, like so. Okay. My sizing is closer to these, so I'm just going to delete that out. But as I say, you match yours to your mug, cup, whatever it is that you're going to be transferring onto. For interest's sake, my dimensions are 3.1 by 5. So the other thing to consider is that your mug, cup might not have straight sides, might be angled down like this. So again, when you're just creating your design, try to accommodate and allow for that narrowing as you go down and the curvature of the cup. Okay. So pick which way you're going to do it. I'm going to replicate this design for you. So I'm just going to get rid of my box. Okay, so I have inserted my cup. So I've just copied that across for ease. I'm going to start by showing you how to get this love heart. And you don't need to do anything fancy to do that. You just come back over to Shapes. And there's handily a free heart shape right there. I don't currently subscribe to Cricut Design Space like for the access, so everything you're seeing here is available for free within their space. Okay, so as you can see, I've got my heart shape there. The colour is not the colour I'm going to want to cut at the end. So to help Cricut Design Space us organise your vinyls onto the correct mats later on, you're going to want to change the colour to something that vaguely resembles the colour of vinyl that you're going to ultimately cut it in. Mine's going to be red, so I'm going to work with red and pink today just to get the Valentine's theme spot on. Again, resizing, pick whatever size you want. You can just do it by using this arrow icon down at the bottom left hand corner and clicking and dragging to whatever size you want. Or if you know the specific ratios to be exact, do what we did before with the square/rectangle and change your dimensions here. If you want it to hold the ratio, you don't need to unlock this padlock. You just change the dimensions and it will hold the width and height in relation to each other. Okay. Next, we're going to start inserting the text. So again, over here to the left-hand side where it says text, just simply click that. Type in your text. I'm going to type my text out separately to make it easier to move around. Okay, so I've just typed in I and just clicked and dragged this around. Okay. I'm immediately now going to change the font to what I want it to be in the end, because different fonts, again, will look different in sizing. So I'm going to start there so I can then size it. So I'm going to come to the top left, hit fonts. Now I'm going to filter by what's in my system because I say I don't subscribe to the Cricut Access. Just scroll through and pick whatever font appeals to you. I believed I worked with this one here, so I'm going to click that, and it just takes a second and then it changes over. As I mentioned before, to help Cricut Design Space put your vinyls on the correct mats, I'm going to change the colour so it knows what belongs with what. So you might need to just click out and click back on it to bring the option back up. Click here. I'm going for now a pink, like so. That's actually not the same font, I've just realised. I was using one called Leafs. So if you want to match mine, mine's Leafs, but I'm just going to leave it with Dangy for now. Okay, repeat the same process for you. So hit text, you, drag and drop. Now, because I've just changed it to this font on the last one, it will remember which font you used for the last text box, which is quite handy. So it saves you an extra step there. So I've just resized, move it into place. Again, this is grayed out right now, so just click out and click back on it and it will wake this back up. So changing that to pink because I want the I and the U to come out on the same vinyl. Then just continue with these steps to create whatever other text that you have decided to include on your design. So one final tip on doing your text. If you're repeating things like this list here that you want to maintain the sizing and the look each time, it is quicker rather than going over to the text icon each time, is just to click on it, copy and paste on my Mac. If I hit Command C, Command V, it will take a second, but it will duplicate it like so. Then if you double click in that box, it will bring back up the typing text so you can change it to whatever you want, like so, okay? Also, if you want to change the alignment of anything, it naturally tends to come up with a left alignment. If you do want to centralize something like I have here, that was just in the top here where it says alignment, hit the drop down and pick as required. Okay, so the next thing I want is to show you how to get these check boxes to come up, and that is really simple, just like we did with the heart shape. It's over here in shapes, and I just selected the square or the soft square, whichever you prefer. Give it a second to load it in, and again resize either with the dragging or with the dimensions at the top. I'm going to click drag into place so I can sort of see it in relation size wise to my text. I'm going to cut mine out of red vinyl. You pick whatever colour is correct for you. Then once you're happy with the sizing, because you want it to look the same all the way down if you're doing the same design as me, I think the best way to do this is just copy and paste. So again, on my Mac, that's Command C. If you're on a Windows machine, that's Control C and the equivalent with V. So do that another 3 times or however many times you need it. It might just take a second, sometimes it lags. So patience is key here. And then you can just put them into place. like so. So you play around until you're happy with your design. I'm just going to go back to my main design now, so I don't need this extra one, so I'm just going to get rid of that. Okay. So if you're not confident about your spacing on here versus on your actual cup, you can cut everything out of your vinyl separately should you wish, and then just freestyle it as you're applying it and space it as you go if you're confident and happy to do it that way. I like a sort of hybrid solution, so I'm going to make sure that the I and the U cut out together so they hold their spacing, and I'm going to also cut out the more than and this list here together so that they hold their spacing. And again, I'm going to do Java Chip Frappuccino separately, and I'm going to do the maybe separately. I like to do this half and half way just because of the curvature of the cup. Sometimes it gets a little tricky to keep everything straight and flat depending on the surface that you're working on, because I say it's not a flat straight surface, so it's just a little trickier, and it just allows you to a bit more wiggle room. Obviously these dots or squares are going to be cut out of a different vinyl from this, so I'm going to have to line that up when I apply it, but I am going to keep these squares grouped together as I cut it, so at least I don't have to individually manage each one. Okay, so to achieve that, I'm going to need to weld elements of my design together. So I'm going to select my eye. You can either do this by holding down your shift key and clicking on both and it will do that, or click on the first item you want to group. It will highlight it over on this right hand side where every element of your design has been listed. You can also see here where my U text is, so I can also select that over here by again holding down that shift key and just selecting that as well, and you see it highlights it over here. Sometimes it's just easier to grab stuff from this right hand pane. Either works. So I'm going to then group those elements together. You can see that at the top, but a right click will also produce that option list. Now, as you can see, they will just stay together like so. Reposition as you like. Then I'm going to come down right to the bottom right hand side here and hit weld. So when I cut my design, all of this will hold together, each bits of the lettering which is joined up, and it will hold those two elements together as they are. So just to give you a bit of insight to what I mean, I'm going to just quickly hit make it up here. You guys just stay where you are so you can see what happens when it puts it on the mat. As you can see here, it's sorting the project into mats by colour, which is why we selected the different vinyls. So we've got the plain mat, don't worry about that, that's going to get deleted. Now you see, because we haven't welded anything together, these dots and everything is just spaced itself as efficiently as it can on the vinyl. I'm going to come down to the pink mat. Now, that's the part of the design that we just welded together, look. The I and the U. As you can see, that spacing has been maintained. So when you cut it, you'll be able to move it across as one. The rest of this we haven't done yet, so it's all spaced incorrectly for how we want it, unless you're just going completely freehand and gonna cut and apply them all individually. Okay, so I'm just gonna cancel this and come back to where you are. Okay, so from here, you are just going to repeat those exact same steps that I showed you here. So grouping and welding together. Do that for all the elements that you want to hold together individually on your specific design. Okay, once you're done and you're happy with all of those elements, then remove your base shape. You don't need it anymore, you don't want it to cut it. So I'm going to just hide my shape. You can delete it, you can hide it, it doesn't matter. But if you want to just hide the element, come over here to the right hand side, see the little eye icon on the right hand side of that shape. I'm just going to select that, and as you can see, it disappears and it will not appear when you hit the make it stage. This is just nice if you want to easily bring it back. Once you're happy, you're going to come up to the top right hand corner and hit make it. Now, as you can see, it's sorted my design onto two mats. My mat that's going to have the red vinyl on it and my mat that's going to have the pink vinyl on it. So there's three elements here. There's my heart, there's my check boxes, and there's the text here. You can move things on this mat. It is kind of like a print preview, but you can edit it. So where you drag things to is where it's going to cut on your mat. I like to pull things away a little bit more from the corners and give things a little bit more space between things for me to be able to cut them out, because I'm going to, with scissors, cut in between here so I can individually stick down these three elements separately. As you can see, the same things happened over here. So the IU has that layout maintained as we did before. I just want to create a bit more space for my maybe. I'm going to pull it away from the sides, and again the same thing with my list. Once you're all happy with your spacing, that everything's set up correctly, come down to the bottom right hand corner and hit continue. Make sure at this point that your machine is connected and switched on to your device. It will then bring up the list of materials. So today we are using premium vinyl. It's here because I've hit favourite on it previously. If your product isn't here, you just hit browse all materials and select from that list. It is then handy to hit the little star over here if it's a material you think you're going to come back to a lot. It will save you time in the future. So just select that, and then you're going to load your fine point blade into clamp B and prep your vinyl onto your mat ready for cutting. So we're going to load our blade into clamp B, so you just open it up, grab your blade, so it's the fine point one, so it's the one with the almost barely there point. Okay, and then we just pop it in the top here, close the clamp like so, and it just locks it into place. Cut your vinyl to size, and then stick on to your standard grip mat in the top left hand corner with the liner side face down. Load in your mat underneath the little guides on either side, making sure that your star rollers are spaced across. Occasionally you might have pushed them all to one side for other projects, so just making sure you put those back out. Once your mat's in place, we're going to come to the flashing arrow button that will suck the mat into the machine, ready for your cut. Once it's ready, the C Cricut logo will start flashing. You can now press that button and start your cut. Once your cut's finished, you will see that the arrow button starts flashing again. You can now press that and it will eject your mat. Now repeat these steps for any other materials you may have. Once you've cut all your designs, you're now going to use your weeding tool to remove the negative space. So this is the space you do not want transferring onto your final product. So go ahead and remove all negative space from both of your projects. Once you finish weeding your design, grab your scraper tool and your transfer sheet, as well as the cup that you're going to transfer onto. What we're going to do is pick up your design piece by piece using the transfer paper. Grab your first design, place the transfer sheet over the top of your design nice and smoothly, and use your scraper tool to make sure it's fully transferred to the plastic sheet. And peel the design away from the backing sheet. If it doesn't come away, just use your scraper tool to go over it until it does. Decide where you want it to sit on your cup and then simply line it up and smooth on with your scraper tool, starting from the inside, working out. Then carefully peel back the transfer sheet. Again, if this hasn't fully stuck down, just replace the transfer sheet and go over it again with the scraper tool until it's fully transferred. So there's the heart, and you just repeat the same steps for the rest of your design till you're done.